Okay, good. I'm glad that worked. I was worried that wasn't going to work. Well, like he said, and I'm going to go ahead and pull out our handy dandy natural awakening so I get an idea about what we're talking about tonight. Greg, when he first talked to me about doing this, was on indigos. I profess to be an indigo. I believe that I'm an indigo. I believe that lots of us nowadays are indigos. This young lady here, and even some of you that are in your mid-30s, your mid-40s, you may be indigos. Now, indigos derive their name from their aura color. And I hope I have enough. I brought some handouts, and these are just basic information that I got off the internet, I got off websites, from different sites, and there's a lot of good information. One of the things I do want to talk about a lot is the labeling of indigos. It's nice that we have a category that comes so that we can give people an idea that there's a new generation, that there's a new evolution, that we are evolving as a consciousness as human beings, and we're moving forward. But we don't want to get stuck too much labeling. As people, as humans, we have an affinity for labeling. So, I want to make sure that we guys, keep a little gray area. Yes, I'm an indigo, but I also have traits that are close to crystal. I'm a Gen X, Gen Y, and I have traits that may be more baby boomerish. We're all a mixture of things. So make sure as you take the information tonight, take the information in as it resonates with you, okay? Because if it resonates with you, then that's something you want to pay attention to. And even if it resonates with you, if there's something I say that resonates with you in a negative way, pay attention to that too. Because the information is really about making connection with yourself and seeing what resonates with you. Because it's your journey. This is your world. Each of you live in your own little world. And so you have to decide how you're going to traverse it. Can I borrow you? Would you be my helper?
Sure.
Could you hand me that? This is a fellow indigo here. She likes to see colors. Thank you very much. Now, like Lamont said, I have a varied background, and I'll give you a little bit about myself. I grew up as an Army brat, born in 1975 in Fort Riley, Kansas. Moved straight to Germany, stayed there until I was about 4, moved to Texas, parents divorced, moved to Georgia, moved back to Texas, moved to Germany, came here, finished high school, went to the military, and came back here, went to Colorado, did about 10 years, and now I'm back here again. Growing up, I felt fairly normal. I didn't have any idea that I might be different. I just knew that I didn't quite fit in. I got along with everybody, but I didn't quite fit in. So I didn't really have any basis to judge myself on, or any sort of labels, or any sort of kind of idea of why I felt different or what made me feel different. And it wasn't until I was 29, I was living in Colorado, my mother came up to Denver to the metaphysical fair. And we went to go see Daniel Brinkley. It was my first time meeting him. And I had my first aura picture taken. And I had meant to bring it, and I had a belt issue, so I was running around and forgot to grab my picture. But my first aura picture was actually just a small indigo halo with a little bit of white light here. And of all the aura pictures I've had taken and all the metaphysical fairs I've been in since then, nobody has ever made a comment about my aura picture. Oh, pretty colors, things like that. But this picture, I got stopped 5 or 6 different times. People talking about the angels in my picture, and talking about color. Oh, you might be indigo. What's indigo? I hadn't heard of that term. I didn't know what that was. So that kind of started me on my path. I went home, I learned about indigos, I got online, I read books, and there's several books out there that are good. There's Indigo Child, Indigo Adult. These are good starting points. But to get kind of into the meat of what indigos are, and if you look at your handout, indigos are basically the new evolution of the new awakening consciousness. A good example would be, say, if you look at it technology-wise. Each new computer comes out with new software. It's got Wi-Fi. It's got all the new setups you need for the new technologies. Indigo children, crystal children, rainbow children are the next evolution. They're coming in with a better connection to spirit, a more knowingness. They're more awake, they're more aware, and they're questioning. a lot of kids nowadays that are ADD, or, I'm sorry, that are labeled ADD, ADHD, that are problem children. They're indigos, they're crystals, they're rainbows. They're these new generation of kids coming in. And the reason that they're disruptive, for lack of a better term, is that they see the big picture. They know things, they already know things, and that we send them to a structured environment, we send them to an institutional school. It's a very linear, two-dimensional school. And these kids see in 3 dimensions. They understand things. And you put them in a curriculum that is boring. And so they get bored, and they act out, and they ask questions, because one of the biggest things about being an Indigo child or being a new person in the world is that things have to make sense to you. So you ask why, how come, what does this mean? And unfortunately, there's a lot of folks out there that are teachers that don't want you asking questions. They want you to absorb and regurgitate. So you get a lot of the medicating kids nowadays. And it's not that the kids are bad, it's not there's something wrong with the kids. The system is antiquated. And these kids are showing us the way to move forward. There's an unfortunate human tendency to hold on to the past. This is how we've done it for 100 years, this is how we're always going to do it. And, you know, if you don't adapt, you die. And these kids are coming along to help us adapt. They're awakening us to our consciousness, they're awakening us to our connection to source. They're showing us a new way, and they're asking questions, they're breaking the system. That's why they're rebellious. That's why, you know, they are getting in trouble in school, you know, not bringing home the best report cards. They're brilliant. The IQs in the world per capita have gone up about 200% in the past 50 years. And this has nothing to do with our school system. Because our school system has declined by probably about the same ratio. Not because there's something wrong with the kids or something wrong with the school system. It doesn't work for these kids. They don't match. So if you look at your handout, you'll get a basic overview of the general consensus on what indigos are, on what they're here to do. One of the things I was talking about with the group out in the restaurant earlier, try not to get too stuck on what you read on the internet. These people put out the best information they have at the time they have it. But just because it says all indigos are born after 1980, doesn't mean all indigos are born after 1980. Most of us have come in at a greater and greater population since 1980. But there have always been quote-unquote indigos. There have always been the rebels, the system breakers. You know, people like Joan of Arc, people like Martin Luther King. These people who come in and show you what's wrong with the system. They show a lot of traits that are similar to indigos. A lot of the kids now, and if you want to get real specific, you know, for a lot of my very engineer-minded folks, I would be considered a stage 2 scout indigo. And if you want to get that technical with it, you can. All that means is that there was a first wave of indigos that came in, and I am part of the second wave. And my job here is to educate and help pave the way for the next generation of indigos, and to help educate the people who aren't about who these kids are and why we're here and what we're trying to do. So, I mean, yes, you can go as scientific as you want about indigos and kids, but the general idea is that these kids do exist. Indigo is just a term, so that you can kind of label and understand, okay, my child is special because they have these traits, so I'll call them an indigo. Or my child is special because they have these traits, and I'll call them a crystal. Okay? Don't get stuck on these titles, because as human beings, we are an amalgamation of all of our experiences, all of our societal, environmental, sociological, just, you know, experiences. So we're always more gray than black or white. So yes, I want you guys to learn as much about indigos, crystals, rainbow kids as you can. But don't get stuck on the terms. Just know that these kids are special, and they have traits that we need to help develop, because it helps us. Because we are all part of the same field. You know, whether you want to call it God, whether you want to call it universal life force, whatever you want to call it, we are all connected. And there are lots and lots of experiments that have been done for the past 100 years that prove this.